Okay, so the inside of my model is supposed to be very basic. I liked the idea of having it revolve around being very natural and nature. That's why I chose the just pale colors. There was in one of our modules an example like that. I'll try to find a picture and put it side by side so that you can understand a little bit more of what I'm saying. The tree idea here, it may not be practical in the real sense, but if I could have my perfect school, this is just what I thought would be interesting. Taking back to that idea of children, instead of being punished, having an area to have them time and talk over their problems. I thought that that was super important, and I thought that it would be really cool to have a tree. They can sit inside the little tree trunk and have their privacy while not being far away from the classroom. During large group activities, they could sit here on these puzzle pieces, and this is where, the teacher would be presenting whatever reading or whatever like art project is coming up. The background, we have these little blackboards, which I was going to write on, but they didn't work as well as they were supposed to. But I want the schedule to be hung up there. So yeah, I just thought that that would be the cutest little idea. Over here we have this open area, which I thought would be perfect for play. I kind of tried to put a little desk there for like a bookshelf or, any of the activities. Also, I made these like little tables and chairs, also using that like very basic module so the children can be comfortable. Moving on to the outdoors, I tried to include a little water area, a garden, and some lights and a little sensory garden. Since nature is the main aspect that I really wanted to focus on with my school, I tried to put a little bit more detail into the outdoor area, but it's a little hard considering how small scale this is. There's not a lot of room for materials. We have these little balls and some slime. I thought that they could, be like a little pool for the children to play in. Obviously, using different materials, that would be a lot safer. I've seen people use like Cdes, like crushed up into like a powder and placed in like a pool type thing to create a sensory little play that's safe if the child decides to put it in their mouth, because children always do that. This is just a really rough idea. I know that I wanted a sensory garden. I just didn't know what materials that I could find in my home to use to represent that. But incorporating a sensory area for play is definitely important. The garden was super important because I want to do those little like art activities where the children can go through the garden, pick out the different leaves, and have them investigate and experiment with those materials. The water area is also super important. I wanted to incorporate something along like similar to the like engineering, where the children like made the pipes with the water and had the water go along through the pipes. That also was something that with the materials I have at home, it just wasn't something that I was capable of making, but that's what the water area represents in my head. Jumping back to the inside model, I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on some of the ideas and some of the purposes for everything that I put in there. Because I did notice that I mentioned I wanted everything to be basic, which I know that's not like the correct term or probably the best term to use, but I just wanted everything to be a little bit plain so that it doesn't draw attention from whatever activities are going on during the class time. If we're working on anything artsy or anything experimental, I want the children to be able to focus on that and still be comfortable. But I noticed that I did add something to my classroom that's a little bit contradictory to that, so I kind of wanted to explain the reasoning. There is a background with like the birds as like a wallpaper. That was actually placed there more so for the walls of my setup to work. Otherwise, we had attempted to use super glue on the foam, which just melted it. So just to secure everything on the wall, we added the wallpaper. I ended up taking out all of the parts that had super glue on them, and instead we used these little sticks. I'll insert a clip of me cutting them up. And we use those to pin all the foam together to create the walls. But there were still some materials like the blackboard that needed to be connected to the wall, so I had to put the paper up. Realistically, I probably would not want to use the bird background, because if there were to be anything on the wall, I would want it to be the children's artwork, obviously. Back to the idea with the tree, because there's a few more things that I wanted to mention about it. Along with it being there for the children to have an area to work out any problems that they're having with students, or if they just need to have some time to themselves during the class time, they have that little area in the corner that's not far from the teacher and the students. So it's easily available for us to watch them and them to have their privacy. But also I thought that with the leaves on top, having the branches come out, that would be a really interesting way to like hang any artwork that's done by the students around the classroom. I inserted this little image of a Montessori classroom, which is pretty much the vibe that I was trying to go for with my classroom, where I wanted everything to be very minimalistic so that everything really just focuses on the children and whatever activity it is that they're doing. Here I have added images of our brochure. Let me get started on reading because it might be a little fuzzy to read from this point of view. So my school is named Bright Minds. We offer classes for ages 4 to 7. Our philosophy statement is, here at Bright Minds, we follow a method similar to that of Montessori schools and place a high importance for learning through engaging with nature in order to prepare our students in understanding the world around them and themselves. Following that part, I just added in the answers that I gave for our philosophy statement assignment, but just edited them to represent like a company, not just my own beliefs. So I swapped out like I believe for we believe at Bright Minds. It says, at Bright Minds, we believe the way to setting up an environment that places quality at a high regard while also making sure the environment is appropriate happens through a few processes. One is understanding the key phases of development and basing the learning objectives and activities around promoting progress in the appropriate stages. Another way is by taking into account each child's specific needs. As much as understanding the stages of development is a good place to start, each child has their own timing and special abilities that need to be thought about in the process of setting up activities for the class. It is important to be prepared and intentional with regard to activities set up for our children. Also, remaining open-minded and respectful to cultural and social aspects within our community that we teach in. As educators, it is our role in a young student's life to be the building block for their social, emotional, and cognitive skills. We are the foundation to the skills that the child will carry and improve upon throughout their whole life, as well as, in many cases, someone who they interact with for a majority of their days. With that being said, it is important for educators to encourage children to feel confident, safe, and understood, along with teaching them what those concepts even mean to them and why. Through our experience, we have found that children learn through observation and the ability to engage with their environments at their own pace. Both observation and engagement play an equal role in the way that children learn about themselves and the world around them. Children are always observing parents, teachers, their friends, or classmates, and even strangers throughout all of their interactions. With that, the children begins to explore the different realms of development, whether it be with speech, walking, dancing, making grabbing motions, art, whatever the activity may be. It is done through the child observing an activity and then engaging with that activity, making it our goal to ensure all of the things listed above are done and handled in a professional manner. Next, I included a picture of our daily schedule, which begins with the outdoor arrival from 7:30 to 8 a.m. Children should arrive between this time and be on their assigned numbers prior to heading into class. So parents can drop off their children between any of those times. Once we go inside, which will start at 8 o'clock from 9 o'clock, upon first arriving, students will be given time to go to their cubbies and get all their supplies settled in for the day. Once they are finished, the remainder of the time will be spent with a free play for the children to talk with their friends, participate in any activities of their choice, drawing, reading, using the building blocks, doing puzzles, whatever it is that may be. Then we have morning snack from 9 to 9:30. The children will have a freshly made breakfast to enjoy with their group. This is not added, but the teachers will be involved with that. Outdoor playtime from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. Once the children have finished with their morning snack, they will be allowed to head to the outdoor area. At this time, they will be focused on gardening activities, sound garden, waterbed studio, and arts and crafts. This is where I didn't have as much materials as I would have liked to had in this project. But that's kind of what the like sensory garden and that little water area is supposed to be used for. Next is outdoor exercise time. I think exercise is a really important part of everyone's day, no matter how old they are. And I think starting them really early with just understanding that concept is really important. So from this time, they will be learning different exercise activities such as stretching, little baby yoga moves, walking, aerobics. This will be followed with circle time from 11:30 to 11:50. Students and teachers will gather together to make a circle and participate in a group reading activity or other activity like puppets, singing, dancing. This will probably only go on for about 15 minutes, and the remaining 10 or 5 to 10 minutes will be spent cleaning up whatever that activity was, and we will move into our lunchtime. Lunch will happen from 12 to 12:30. Lunch with teachers and students will happen with lively discussion of the day's activities so far. They will talk about nutrition, and the children will prepare for nap time once they are finished. Nap time will be from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. Students who are unable to nap will be given resources at 12:45 p.m. This will include painting, drawing, most likely outdoors as to not disrupt the other children. Nap time will end at 3:15 p.m. and students will begin to prepare for their snack. Afternoon snack will be at 3:30 to 4. This snack, they have the option of eating indoor or outdoor with their friends. Of course, either way, there will be teachers accompanying them. After this, they will head inside for an indoor wrap-up, focusing on imaginative play, math, construction, drawing, cutting, and manipulatives. These activities will be conducted indoors. Lastly, we end with an outdoor wrap-up, storytelling outdoors with engaging literature and time for sunscreen application. Children have the opportunity to help feed or clean up after any of the animals or the plants. Arts and crafts will be available, outdoor construction setups, etc. For the last 15 minutes of class, that would be spent going over all of the activities for the day and letting the children know what we have planned for the next day. Of course, we always have the schedule posted indoors, as I showed you earlier, but I think it's just important to keep children involved in the schedule that they're going to be participating in. And then pickup will be outdoors. Students will be picked up in the outdoor area after their outdoor wrap-up, whenever the parent is ready to pick them up, usually 6 to 6:30. The final page of our brochure goes over how we will work to take care of the children, how we have the teachers set up in order to do that. So it says, at Bright Minds, safety is something that is not taken lightly. To ensure each child is receiving the proper amount of care and attention, we have multiple staff members in charge of observing all of the places and activities at all moments. Within our classrooms, we have assigned 2 teachers along with a number of aides to assist them in their work. Teachers are required to accompany children to the lunch and snack areas where there's additional resources of staff available for the teachers' needs. When snack times or lunch times are over, the children are allowed to make their way to outdoor areas so long as they are accompanied by a member of our staff. In addition to this rule, we always have at least one staff member tending to all outdoor activities to provide care for any animal or crops. Each member of our staff is highly knowledgeable in the aspects of child development. We also encourage any parent volunteers who would like to be a part of our classroom experience to aid our teachers and learn more about the world of child development. Any recommendations or accommodations are welcomed at our tip lines or conferences. We appreciate your trust in us, Bright Minds. To wrap up, in conclusion, I just wanted to reiterate some of the ideas that I brought into my project. First of all, we have the Montessori approach, where everything is a little bit more simple and open for children to create at their own pace and have everything focused on the children's imaginations. But yeah, that's just about everything that I wanted to add to this project. So thank you for listening.